Thank you for joining today's Get to Know session. We have Dr. Sheena Mehta from the University Counseling Center on our Norman campus. So really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule today to join us and kind of give us a brief introduction about the University Counseling Center, who's eligible to utilize it, what services you provide, and so on. So again, thank you so much and look forward to hearing the information.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Dr. Sheena Mehta. I am one of the senior staff psychologists here at the University Counseling Center on the Norman campus. I have a few slides just to help kind of summarize some of the information. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then I'll make sure to leave some time for questions afterwards as well. One of the things that I wanted to just take a minute to talk about really is just raising mental health awareness on a university campus. You can see some statistics there on the screen that are associated with college student mental health, especially between or during the year of 2020 to 2021. More than 60% of college students met the criteria for at least one mental health difficulty or issue. And this was collected from, I think it was almost 400 campuses nationwide. And so today we see college students are balancing a wide range of challenges, from coursework to relationships, adjustment to college, financial distress, as well as some of the life things that we are all experiencing, such as national events, social injustice. And it's really important to raise mental health awareness on a campus like this for all of us, because we all experience something at some point. Mental health stigmas can often come from either a place of fear or maybe a lack of understanding. And so I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to meet with some of you and really just talk about mental health and what services we have available on our campus here in Norman. So we are a group of counselors. We consist of both psychologists and LPCs, that's licensed professional counselors. We also have 2 psychiatrists on staff. So psychiatrists can prescribe medication for mental health. And then the counselors and psychologists, we provide the therapeutic interventions. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of our specific services. And then we also have some trainees who are completing either their master's internship in counseling or their internship for their doctoral degrees in the areas of either counseling or clinical psychology. We're located on the 2nd floor of the Goddard Health Center. I've listed our front desk number there just in case anyone wants to save that, so it's handy if you ever need it. And our hours are Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. So we see clients for a variety of presenting problems and issues, and this is by no means any kind of exhaustive list, but this is just an example of some of the reasons why somebody may come to see us for services. So it could be anything from experiencing anxiety, depression, identity issues, grief, loneliness, relationship problems, past trauma, and also things to do with kind of productivity, such as stress management and time management as well. We provide a variety of services. So we both provide individual therapy and also partnered counseling as well. So there are lots of different services to choose from. We also provide excuse me, group therapy. If you check our website, we usually have a list of the current groups that we provide as well. I know currently we have an anxiety psychoeducation group running. We have a graduate student support group. And then we're in the process of establishing our international student group as well. So if you are interested in groups or want to refer somebody for a group, the website is the best way to be updated on which groups are running currently. Just in terms of counseling or therapy, these are interchangeable terms. So therapy or counseling is really just a form of treatment that is aimed at relieving some emotional distress and treating any mental health difficulties. And it's a supportive and collaborative relationship where a client can explore and understand their thoughts, their feelings, and their behaviors in more effective ways. In terms of eligibility for our services, so we see faculty and staff and currently enrolled students. We can only see faculty and staff and currently enrolled students if they are not already seeing an individual therapist. So if they are seeing somebody in the community, then they wouldn't be able to see us at the same time for individual therapy because that would be a conflict of interest. However, if there is somebody that has an individual therapist in the community, but wants to see us for either partnered counseling or group therapy, that would be possible. And then we also have crisis services as well. So one of us are always on call during business hours. And if there is an individual who is experiencing any kind of extreme concerns around risk to themselves or others and are really struggling to make it through the day, then we can call the front desk and they can make an appointment with an on-call counselor that same day. In terms of making an appointment just for either individual, group, or partnered counseling, that person can either call the front desk or they can stop by the front desk and they can schedule an intake. An intake is about 30 minutes or so, and that's where the intake counselor will gather some basic background information and information about presenting concerns, so that they can then recommend which services might best suit that client's needs. For individual therapy for students, if they have the student health plan, then it's free of charge. It's covered by the student health plan. If they do not have the student health plan, then it's $10 a session. And for faculty and staff, there is a copay depending on the type of health insurance plan that you have. We provide short-term counseling. So what that means is all campus members are eligible for up to 12 sessions every academic year. So that runs from August to August. Sessions are usually about 45 to 50 minutes. And once somebody has completed an intake, they'll be placed on our wait list. And then once a counselor has an opening, the front desk will let that client know to go ahead and schedule their first therapy appointment. In terms of partnered counseling, I just wanted to highlight that only one partner, one member of the relationship needs to be a student. Unfortunately, our current health insurance for faculty and staff does not cover partnered counseling. And for students without the health plan, partnered counseling is $15 a session, and it's covered by that student health plan. Group counseling is free of charge for all campus members. So that's for students and faculty and staff. We also provide psychological assessment. So what that means is we offer testing services for an individual who would like to be evaluated for either a learning disorder and or ADHD. Currently the fee for assessment is $400. There is a wait list, and the process takes several weeks. So there is several hours of testing, which includes, for example, an IQ test, an achievement test, and some tests of executive functioning and social emotional testing. And then it takes several weeks to get all of that data, put it together, and then be able to come up with the results and any relevant diagnoses as well. As I mentioned, we have 2 psychiatrists on staff. So again, for students without the student health plan, that's $20 a session. For students with the student health plan that is covered by the health plan, and then the coverage for faculty and staff is dependent on the type of health plan that you have, and then the copay is also dependent on the kind of health plan that you have. And then we also provide some outreach as well, just like today. We also have something called TAO. So TAO is a web-based platform that provides some mental health support for all campus members. So if you go to our website and look at the TAO tab, you can set up a free account using your OU email address. And there are lots of interactive modules on this platform that include things like a mindfulness library, relaxation tools, and then modules to help you work through different presenting concerns like anxiety, depression, relationship conflict, and so on. So all of our services are confidential. So that means that parents or guardians are not granted access to health records for anyone over the age of 18. And that also means that professors, any instructor would also not have access to any mental health records unless the client has provided written consent. Mental health staff are also exempt from the mandatory reporting of sexual assault and substance use as well. And if you're interested in confidentiality, I can tell you a little bit more about the limits to confidentiality there as well. I also just wanted to include some resources for anyone that is interested. Apps are now so accessible and easy to use. So I've listed just a few of the apps that we typically recommend for a variety of different issues. And also I've included our website link there at the bottom, where we have a resources self-help page that has lots and lots of resources available to all campus members as well. And then in the local community, I also have listed some of the crisis hotlines and also some of the centers that we have in the local community, both for crisis intervention, women's resource, and emergency services as well. And you can find a lot of this information on our website. And then on our website, we also have referrals for local counselors and psychiatrists in the community as well. So I'll stop there and stop sharing my screen, and wanted to open the floor to see if there are any questions at all.
Yeah, a lot of great information. So wanted to double check, Dr. Mehta. So are the services there at University Counseling Center, you said for the OU community, is it limited to the OU Norman community, or if you're affiliated with any of the campuses, would you be able to utilize your services? I know we're sometimes unique where we might have, some HSC employees that are actually located on the Norman campus, vice versa. So are they able to tap into those resources as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our services are limited to those on the Norman campus. We do have mental health resources. So we have a counseling center at the HSC campus that can see HSC staff and also students. And then in the Tulsa campus as well, we also have a center there. So our clinic is just for the Norman campus.
Wonderful. And then would the OU community faculty, staff, and students, should they expect to have their sessions in person, or do you offer virtual sessions? How can they plan on setting that up?
Yeah, so we actually offer a variety, and it's the client's preference. So we do offer both in-person appointments, but we also offer telehealth, so Zoom and telephone appointments if the client would prefer. I think having been through the pandemic and having been virtual fully during that time, we've learned that there is a variety of preferences, and some people are really eager to come back in person, which we welcome. And then for some, they find that actually telehealth is more preferable and more comfortable. And so we're still providing that modality as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's kind of like, I feel like sometimes it's also similar to when you give the option of texting or talking over the phone, which I think is wonderful that a lot of these hotlines, helplines and stuff has also now included that, where if you want to if you prefer texting, if that's where you're at and you feel most comfortable, they have that for like the 988 and what have you for those options. So I think that's wonderful. We do have a question that's popped in. What if I'm an HSC faculty member, but taking a class at OU Norman this semester? Can I attend the counseling, use the counseling services? And yes, if not, we can help provide that number for the HSC campus. So yes, if they are actually HSC faculty, but they happen to be taking a class and so they are an OU Norman student, can they tap into these services?
That is an excellent question. I believe, and I might have to double check, that a faculty staff status overrides a student status in terms of our services. And so in that case, either a referral to the community, or I would have to double check if our HSC clinic sees faculty and staff for therapy as well. I know that they provide crisis services. I'm not 100% sure about their therapy services, but I can definitely double check and maybe let you know as well. But I'm pretty sure that if you are a faculty member, that status would override being a student on the Norman campus.
Excellent. Like I said, in that follow-up email, I'll make sure and include some resources, no matter what campus that you're on. So we'll have that information available to check into. So as far as our overall well-being, what do you think is probably the best thing as far as University Counseling Center provides in helping all of our overall well-being, no matter where we're at? I think usually, certainly counseling and using those resources that we tend to think, oh, okay, a life event has to happen for that, to occur, to use that. But really just in general, what do you think is really the best thing that University Counseling Center is there for to help with all of our overall well-being?
Yeah, I think that we can really support overall well-being in a variety of different ways. So one is, if we conduct any kind of outreach or workshops, they are very accessible, and now, especially with telehealth, if they are being recorded, then that's accessible online as well. But also there doesn't necessarily have to be a life event to get engaged in counseling. It could be to manage and just kind of be more preventative, to manage overall well-being, manage stress as well. Just manage, kind of that balance between work and personal life, and ensuring that you're making time for yourself in the week. So I think that there's a variety of ways that we can support that as well. Group counseling is also a great way to get involved.
Wonderful. And another question, is there currently a wait list for one-on-one counselor, either psychiatrist or grad student? And what are the grad students able to do versus what the licensed doctors are able to do?
Yeah, so there is a wait list for all counselors. We don't have individual wait lists for counselors. The psychiatrists do not have a wait list. They do tend to kind of book those appointments out. So there's no wait list for psychiatry. And in terms of the wait list and just how that works, so we have a triage team that meets every Thursday afternoon, and they review all of the intakes from that week, and then they will triage those and ensure that any high-risk clients get prioritized, and that we are always working to make sure that we have as many openings as possible so that we can take on people from the wait list as well. In terms of graduate students, so graduate students are able to see clients just as the licensed psychologists and counselors can. The only difference is that we would assign graduate students lower risk clients than we would to our licensed professionals.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then if someone had concern of a community member on campus, whether in class or a cowork or something, what are some recommended next steps of what we would be able to do to help those that it seems have shown maybe some signs of crisis or whatever, as far as their mental health, if we have some concerns there?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are probably two resources that I would recommend. If there is a concern about a campus member, one resource is the Behavioral Intervention Team, or BIT. Any campus member can submit a concern to BIT. I think they have I believe they have a telephone number, and you can also submit a message online as well. And the BIT team will then reach out to that individual and do an assessment to determine what services that individual may need, and try to support that individual in getting access to those services. And then the other option is referring that individual to us. If they are at immediate risk in terms of safety, then we definitely recommend that individual is either calling us for a crisis appointment or just showing up at the front desk during business hours, and we will make sure that our on-call counselor can see them and do a risk assessment and then take the appropriate next steps as well.
And then what would you recommend outside of business hours?
So outside of business hours, if there is a campus member on campus, we recommend calling OUPD. So our director has done a lot of mental health training with OUPD to ensure that they are able to not only kind of assess risk for individuals that may be experiencing a mental health emergency or crisis, but also that they know the appropriate steps to take. So whether that's facilitating, an assessment by a professional, whether that's taking them to the nearest hospital, to a safe place where they can access treatment. If they are outside of the campus, then we recommend calling the local police department. So that might be Norman PD, for example. And they also can do some of the similar some of the similar steps as well. I know our director has worked a lot with Norman PD in terms of mental health training as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mehta, for your time today, everyone for joining. I think a lot of great information, helpful information, and ways that we can all, just as an entire OU community, improve our overall well-being, help each other out, and really work on our mental health. So really, thank you so much, and everyone have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.